gonna close my door. Okay, welcome back, Weather Kingdom. In this update, we are going to be taking a look at Gabrielle starting to look a lot better organized here. We got some interesting stuff going on. Gabrielle tonight, yeah, it struggled this morning when we live streamed, but things have changed. Alright. Alright, 1 second. Weather Kingdom, we are getting things situated right now. Welcome back. We got 3 people already watching. Let's get a few more. Welcome. Okay, welcome back, Weather Kingdom. And this update, we are going to be taking a look at Gabrielle starting to look. Alright, so if you guys are new, please like and subscribe. We are going to be taking a look at Gabrielle here. And it's looking interesting now as the night D-Max is starting to develop. We got a very visible swirl that is in a structure that we have seen in the past. There it is, you guys. A beautiful structure is really underneath the hood now. It's struggling a bit, but we are really starting to see that low-level center really take place here, because this is pretty intense here. We can actually see a blow-up of convection right near the center of low pressure. I would say the center of low pressure is generally here. Pretty dried out, but there's definitely convection feeder bands all through up in here. And then you can actually see if convection can start exploding right in this, where I'm going to circle in blue, right where this is right here, will be extremely nice for this storm. We just need some convection, thunderstorms, something to get this northern side with deep thunderstorm convection, means that would extremely help to organize Gabrielle here. Pretty crazy to me, but we'll have to wait and see. We got 12 people watching. Good night. Correct. Successful D-Max moment. I agree with you on that, man. That's very true. We already got 13 people watching. Let's get a few more. Let's get it going, Weather Kingdom. We are here. We're going to be enjoying ourselves. We're also going to be taking a look at the tropics in general. But this is the interesting look of it, you guys. It's starting to get a little bit better organized, in my opinion. And we do have, actually, data here of the satellite imagery. Let's go into Invest 92L. Let's restart this page. We're going to actually restart it. And yeah, definitely starting to look a lot better. Alright, so Yeah, I know. I'm currently working on things. Alright. Do you guys believe this will become a hurricane in the next few days? Alright, so if you guys are new to the channel, please feel free to donate. We already have a goal there for donations. If you guys want to donate, feel free. We are taking a look at this, though, and yeah, things are looking pretty interesting. Let me actually share this around. If you guys are here, please like and subscribe. That helps to show other people about this. So let's do that. We're going to get this going. Get that posted. We're going to get other people here quickly. We got a long stream to go. There's definitely deep thunderstorm convection. There's that naked swirl right there. And when we're taking a look at that. We got some good thunderstorms that has developed here in this curvature arc band that is pretty far out to its north side here, the northeast. And then you could tell there's invisible of rotation coming right into here. And there's that little bit of convection exploding. I'm very interested if that does become more showers and thunderstorms and we see a better environment out this. But this is a much better look here as we got a lot more deep thunderstorm convection wrapping it in here. So when we actually look at this with the black, there it is. There's our little core. Look at that. Really starting to rotate right through there. Look at that. There's our low-level center. There's our dry air. Very visible. This is that dry air that is getting seeped into the core right now. But it is starting to battle it off just a bit better, in my opinion. I like to keep an eye on that. Does it continue to battle? Those are all questions that we'll have to wait and see. We're also going to be taking a look at the West Pac. We're going to be taking a look at other areas in the Atlantic, guys. The Atlantic tonight is looking a lot more favorable than previous thought of yesterday night. And I'm not too surprised, but look at that, you guys. This is starting to look a little bit interesting. It's looking like we're about to have a this is much more like a tropical storm officially. This is definitely a tropical storm now. We do not have other areas attached to it. It's developing in thunderstorms. It is trying to continue to persist that convection with the black there. We'll have to wait and see if this does become more expansive. Does this actually go right over the center? Because if this can actually develop into a blob like this, and we get into a massive blob, this could actually extremely help all this dry air from getting into it and actually strengthen this. It's still going to be struggling, but tonight it looks a lot better than previous thought. So being that said, what is the National Hurricane Center going with? So yeah, things are getting a little interesting. We got 3 areas now. We got one right here. This is technically 1. This is 2, and this is 3. And this will be about 4 in the Central America. Something to watch, but it looks like peak season is starting to wake itself up. Probably the most active I have seen this of the year yet on the National Hurricane Center. We'll have to wait and see if we get development now, because that could really change the game here, in my opinion, on this. So just give me one moment. We're sharing this with other people. We're getting people. If you guys want to know more about the channel, feel free to subscribe and like and look back at previous videos and stuff. That'll be very nice. Let's get it in. One second, everybody. Thank you, Mia, for doing that. Very greatly appreciate. So, we're gonna keep an eye on this, but we're also, let me look at the chat here. I haven't looked at it in a hot minute. Let's look. So we got about 20 people already watching. Hello. So yeah. Also, it's me from Discord. You can see its center relocation evolved from it first got its name. I agree with you, Tristan, on that. If you guys are new, please like to subscribe. I'm actually going to end this goal, and we're going to make a new goal. I meant to make a better goal here. We're going to do actually all colors. So our goal tonight is get up to 10. Let's at least get up to 5. I think we could do it. I really like looking at this because this is the big question. Is this the convection that's going to be the ignite feel in this storm? That's a very large question that I have. Very interesting. Let's actually, I want to take a quick look. I know you guys are very interested, but I want to take a look at the true color because there it is. I mean, this is not too far from the island. It's actually kind of from the beginning of its life. I want to go back here. I want to go back number of images. I want to go back to the last. Let's go actually a little bit more. I want to see the evolving. So this is from its beginning of, this is from earlier this morning, or earlier today. You could tell this was elongated right in here with our general spin like this, kind of wrapping like this. This is the islands, by the way, right in here. But when we go from earlier this morning to now, yeah, look at that. It really took a northern jog. It was at one point, I mean, in the morning where this low-level center was all the way up about 20 north. But in the latest frames of tonight, this actually has taken a southern push here where it has actually moved south. So I'm very interested on seeing if we definitely took a shift to the south. These are the islands, by the way. Not too far. I mean, it's pretty far, but it's not crazy far. Also, if you guys are new, please like and subscribe. That'd be very... Alright. Welcome. If you guys feel free donating, feel free to donate. It'll be very greatly appreciate that. So, I want to take a look at this now. Alright, so this is... So this, okay, look at that. It's definitely dry air. Oh, there's some shear there also. So, I did it again. Why did I do that? So, I want to take a look at... long wave. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that third tropical wave here. We got some tropical activity. A lot of action with the MJO. This wave looks pretty interesting, not gonna lie with you. Gabrielle is starting to look a lot more interesting than previous. Everybody was like, models are dying on it. I wouldn't just throw it out yet. This is the mid-level dry air. And to me, it looks like we're starting to eat this up here. I don't know why I keep doing that. This is the mid-level dry air. Look at that. This is this is the leftover. This storm actually, this wave right here is actually not in a bad environment. There's just some shear on it. Also, we got another tropical wave coming off Africa. They just put, so we got 3 waves. 1, 2, and 3 in the Atlantic now. This is definitely getting its attention now. The Central American gyre starting with some good showers and thunderstorms. Yeah, I know, right? That wave coming off Africa is extreme. So you can tell there's the dry air. To me, it looks like it's definitely starting to develop a little bit more mid-level moisture right here. I want to see if we start to see some more convection blow up. Because if we could see this to become favorable, this actual really choke out, that will actually choke out the dry air and kind of help this. But you can see where this dry air is coming in, coming around like this with the cloud patterns and going right into the center. It definitely is a lot better than earlier. It's a little bit less drier in the mid-levels. But when we take a look at the upper levels, there's even some drier in the upper levels. That's pretty intense there, where we even have we're definitely getting a little bit more moisture in the upper levels. Let's take a look at lowers. Yeah, lower levels, it is real dry. We have a lot of dry air right in the center. Really dry core. That's gonna have to eat itself out, in my opinion. So when we take a look at the models, what does the models? Yeah, that wave coming off Africa is pretty intense. If you guys are new, please like. That helps to wake up the channel here also. But when we take a look at the tropical Atlantic, let's take a look at the HERF. And we got some hurricane models. Let's take a look at the HERF. Yeah, this is our wave. This is that dryer. So this is as of right now. Let's go into about 11 p.m. It is a little bit interesting where it does look like a little bit more moisture does come around 11 o'clock. A little bit more of a better thunderstorms trying to develop some more convection blowing up in the levels here. You can see it right in the model here, the HERF, of the moisture pockets starting to expand just a bit on the northern side, wherever it's green. But there is still very stable, dry air all the way to the end of the charts. So that's some extreme low-level dry air that's really going to struggle. But as you go into about 2 a.m., looks like the environment gets a little bit better here. Is we start to see actually more of a favorable period to its north now of at least general convection here of thunderstorms. That's very interesting right there. There's our center relocating, whatever, on that. Still some drier, but now we're starting to see it trying to wrap its moisture in. It's about 2 a.m. and then we go into about 5 a.m. Looks to me a little bit still struggling a bit. We starting to see a little bit more now greens near the low-level center. Trying to eat out the dryer, but this is by 5 in the morning. So overnight, it will be doing its process. And then definitely tomorrow, you can tell this is by 8 a.m. Now we're starting to see still dry, stable air. Or it's a little bit less. We're also seeing some more convection blowing up near the center of low pressure. Even on the southern side of more thunderstorms and convection. So that's a very interesting call. And then we go into about 11, 12. I mean, we can go up to even 30. And then eventually about 33 hours from now, even then, 48 hours. It really struggles on the HERF to ever get into the next 72 hours, though. It takes a little bit to eat out that dry air. But what's interesting is the HRF quickly gets a mid-level and low-level going, and then boom, it completely takes that dry air out in the next 4 days or so, and it's in a much better environment of regardless. So that's pretty interesting that we are watching on the HRF. Yeah, correct. Hey, you are right, Curdy. That's pretty important also when we take a look at that. But you can tell the HRF does eventually get this to develop into a tropical storm, and then eventually even a hurricane. But look at that, you guys. Bermuda, right here with the HRF, regardless of development or not. There it is. Bermuda right in the black. This is at least a Category 1 hurricane. And it looks like all the moisture to its north, but we get into a 983, 981, even 980. At this point, we're probably entering strong Category 1 with Bermuda in some passage way here at the end of the HRF. We'll have to wait and see on that. This is wind gusts. And majority of the banding features about 40 to 45 miles an hour winds. But generally, most of the 50, 60 mile an hour winds stay generally off the coast of Bermuda. That will be very good news, as this will probably be entering a very strong Category 1 hurricane and probably getting into a better environment. This is the satellite imagery also, even a little bit of an eye feature here. Pretty small storm in my opinion, than thought. So that's very interesting when we're taking a look at that. This is the HRF. Let's take a look at 10. Yeah, this is the 10. The 10 probably has about a 90 mile an hour storm here. This is about a 90 to 95. So almost Category 2. Generally, the tropical storm force winds stay off the coast. We got 25 people watching. We're doing pretty good. Interesting in Bermuda. Should monitor the system very closely. Yeah, I agree. Also, let's take a look here at HMON. HMON has some support here also. So that's very interesting. Generally, let's go into dry air. We're going to look at the HMON also. Very dry air. This is about 8 p.m. This is about 11 p.m. A little bit more on the northern side. And then this is generally about 5 in the morning. We start to see these showers and thunderstorms in a little bit of a different spots than the HRF, but we are seeing some showers and thunderstorms in the environment of this system. So it is pretty crazy to me that we are seeing that here on the HRF. So let's take it a little bit. Let's go actually a little bit more. Let's go 8 a.m., a little bit more convection. 9. This is about in the next 24 hours. There's definitely a lot better than tonight. Okay, that's the key. So the environment is supposed to get into better and better environment according to the latest hurricane models. I think they're gonna keep it at 50. If you have 8 scats, can you actually send that to me? Because that would be very greatly appreciated. I'll definitely show that here in the live stream. Alright. But very interesting. Then we take a look. Yeah, in the next, this is about 8 p.m. tomorrow night. Definitely much more better organized in its convection. I'm very curious if this gets a little bit better. But drier generally eats it out a little bit quicker than the HRF. And we do get the same type of development. And this is about in the next 3 days into a much stronger 60, 70 mile an hour tropical storm. And it does eventually want Bermuda in its path here. But it's a little bit farther away. But Bermuda's still in the path of potential. This is about a 982. This is about a, once again, a stronger Category 1 hurricane on the models. We'll have to see if the environment gets a little bit more favorable, and then eventually even into a Category 2 as it passes potentially the islands. When we take a look at the winds, generally Bermuda stays off the coast, never really gets even wind gusts to about 50 miles an hour, generally about just off the coast, but they will bring some surf, and we'll be taking a look at the surf also. But yeah. That's the HMON. When we look at the HAFS A, and yeah, the HAFS A does not want any development on this system. Pretty crazy. Getting stuff set up. I am on YouTube in this Discord. Okay. Hey, Triffer. What is up? The thing is that the HAFS A does is, I really don't know. I think it just gets sheared. It's, I don't know what goes on with it. It just struggles, in my opinion. Definitely some impacts to Bermuda. Very possible. HAFS B also has a struggling to develop. So the HAFS model, the hurricane models, have it struggling here. Let's look at the 18Z. Generally, the icon wants it to struggle to develop, but very interesting. It wants that third wave to develop on the icon. This stays about a Category 1 hurricane as it passes Bermuda now. So, a lot more agreement of Bermuda having more of a weaker set of stones. So, we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I agree. Probably a little bit more confused than the earlier evolution to this. I can definitely agree with that. The Euro model likes it pretty weak, but this is from earlier initializing. I agree with you on Tristan on that there. But then eventually, as it gets closer to the islands, the model wants generally a tropical storm. Probably a stronger tropical storm. I'll say this could actually be stronger than eventually this becomes a full-fledged hurricane as it passes Bermuda, according to Euro. So it's not like Erin where it just fell off the face of the earth. It's not that type of setup. But we'll have to keep an eye on the positioning and does this even develop. So something to really keep an eye out. I'm really watching it. We'll have to wait and see. Also, this is the Euro's track, the AI. Very interesting towards the end. I like to keep an eye on this. You know, we'll have to wait and see. Generally, I don't want to just throw it all the way yet on this. So we kind of took a detailed and pretty good eye of this all. I want to now take a look at, okay, so this is that latest convection. So that's the latest convection. Looks like it's not popping off as much anymore. It kind of stable itself. with it. We'll have to see. My question is, do we see another area of thunderstorms and convection? In my opinion, I don't know. I like to continue to see the evolving looks of it. Let's take a look at visible. Looks like it's struggling a bit on that convection blow up. That's because of very dry air. That's expected. I want to see if we get into any better showers and thunderstorms. We'll have to wait and see. So, alright. I want to take a look at the NAC. Don't let your guard down. National Hurricane shifting the track slightly more east, but indirect impacts are possible. So, they do have it as a 50-mile-an-hour storm. Generally, the wind field is actually pretty big, though. That's a big thing. The wind field is pretty large here with tropical storm force on the northern side quite a bit. So, as these storms get up into these latitudes, it does get a little bit bigger, the wind field, so that's something interesting. But we do have a hurricane generally near Bermuda here on the latest of it. But we'll have to keep an eye on the track, as any shift to the west could bring impacts. So, something to really watch out for, in my opinion. Generally, the discussion on this is the biggest changes with Gabrielle today we have seen is that the center has reformed further to the north compared with the previous advisory, similar to earlier model forecasts. While satellite imagery continues to indicate an elongated circulation with multiple embedded swirls, it has become better defined than this morning, and we have continued to make the center positions on the advisories a mean of those swirls. A second scatter meander pass that intersect the northern semicircle of the storm after 15Z advisory did show a large area of consistent 40 to 45 knots. That's about 45 to 50 miles an hour winds. Therefore, the initial intensity has been increased to 45 knots, even though the system does not appear appreciable for more organizing. So they do have this generally staying a lot more weak by it hitting the Bermuda area, only an 85-mile-an-hour hurricane. I like to see if that intensity does go up. They did back away because of the models backing it back down to just a category 1. When we're taking a look at Tropical Storm Gabrielle with the tracks and everything, generally this is not completely out of the wood. I want to see, do we see another shift to the west like this? Does this get into this environment? Maybe it's, because to me, the National Hurricane Center is, I know you just said that, but hey, Simir, what is up? Yeah, I'm very interested on that too. I'll let you speak soon, Tristan, on this. I'm just getting my overall view on this storm. That I don't get interrupted or anything from anyone. But look at the National Hurricane Center with the 0Z initializing. Much for like one of the outliers of the track. And then it goes a little bit more centered there. But look at Bermuda. Bermuda's right in that black dot. And a lot of these models, I mean, this is like this is like one of the most on the outlier to see than Bermuda. But remember, let's see, it only takes a trauma diversion if that's to cause extensive impacts. Hopefully it goes west of Bermuda. You mean east. This is the general track though of it, of the model here. This is generally the model guidance. look at the guidance. This is kind of the track. So, as of right now, does it go on the southern side? That will hit Bermuda. Or does it go? So, we'll have to wait and see on the 0Z. It's very interesting on that. Hey, what is up, Sky Trevor? What is up? If you guys feel free to subscribe and like, feel free for that. It would be very greatly appreciated. Okay, so we kind of really just talked quite a bit on this. Let's go into here. I want to now take a look at the ensembles. We're only going to take a look at the ensembles for this portion of the storm with Bermuda. I'm kind of going one storm at a time, giving it all of its detail, and then seeing what's the initializing of what I'm thinking. So let's go 72 hours out. Let's actually go to 18Z. I want to take a look at 18. Yeah, 18Z is right there. This is as a Wednesday. Yeah, I agree with that. So, hey, Sky Trevor, BMX. Yeah, just give me a little bit. Right now, I'm just really going over some of the information. I have a lot of information to go over. I kind of want to go solo as of right now, but we'll probably stay on for the 0Z runs tonight. Just all depends, and I have to wait and see on everything. We're going to be live for a bit. Also, feel free to donate, even if it's just $1. It's going right into college funds. Also, hopefully getting a new mic, because I think my mic is starting to catch a little bit and starting to go on me. So feel free to help me out with that. It'll be very greatly appreciated. Also, when we take a look at the next 96 hours, yeah, very interesting. Generally weak, more on the weaker side. This is about 5 days out, and yeah, pretty interesting. This 144 hours out. So generally with the 18Z ensembles, depends on the low, because look at this. This is that wide view. Or does it go even more south? Generally, this is the cone of the national hurricane of the ensembles here. So Bermuda is right in here, that blue dot right on the edge of this forecast. So it does make sense. On Discord, I sent the ASCAT. Okay, thank you. I will be looking at the ASCAT in just a moment. Just give me a little bit. If you guys are new, please like and subscribe. It does help on the channel significantly. So be very greatly appreciated if we can get some help there. We got 14 likes. Let's get up to 20 likes. We are now at 15 likes. Very greatly appreciate that. Does help the channel out a bit more. And this is generally intensity anywhere from a 50 to about 80 mile an hour storm. We'll have to wait and see on the 0Z runs tonight on this storm. I like to see how everything evolves. This is 12Z ensembles, about the same. So 18Z to 12Z, about the same with the ensembles, nothing significant. And then generally the GEFS likes doom and gloom. I'm not going by that. The GDM here does still show interesting data here. This is the 12Z though. They don't have 18Z. Actually, they do. So this is 18Z. This is 12Z. So actually, from the 12Z, we're going to actually do some comparison here. So this was the cone for the 12Z model of the AI. Because I think the AI models have done an awesome job this hurricane season. But this is 12Z. This is 18Z. Yeah, a lot more stronger. But it's also more heavy on this side of the track. So if it was me, I actually might try and make a cone of uncertainty, but you know, some ensembles into Bermuda. We'll have to wait and see. This is the AI models. I think they have done an awesome job this season, in my opinion. They have crushed it all. This is 12Z. Yeah, some of the data on 18Z shifted a bit more west here, where Bermuda, yeah, about generally, yeah, the guidance is still off. Bermuda's just off the cone of the of the uncertainty, but if it was me, in my opinion, with the latest shifts, I'll probably actually nudge this back to the west a bit. So, Bermuda, you guys are not out of this. Repeat, you guys are not out of this, okay? I just want to let you guys know, as I'm taking in very close detail. We still have to look at the current environment, the ASCATs. Hey, good night, Critty. Thank you for coming on the stream. We're very great. Also, we're at 16 likes. Also, we're at 798 subs. Let's get up to 800 subs tonight. That would be very greatly appreciated. Yeah, really struggling in my opinion. I don't see any new convection kind of developing out of this. I'm really watching the expansion, because if we even get a little bit of convection on that low level center, it could try and help. There's a little bit, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I want to keep an eye on that. That's very interesting right there on that. Not yet. It's taking a bit. It's going to take a little bit. I want to give it a few little bit. It's going to be a little bit hours. If convection starts to develop in this vicinity right in here, this could be a new ball game of this storm. So, something to keep an eye here on. Alright. We looked at that. We looked at that. What else can we take a look at? And we already know the waters are warm. Let's take a look at Mike's weather page. I want to take a look at the current environment that this is in. Okay. Alright, so, very interesting. The shear has backed off a bit. This is where that low-level center is developing. This is where that low is. The southern side is more of that cyclonic flow. But we were in red before. We're actually now back in neutral, so it's not really any major shear going on in the environment. It's not in a horrible environment. There is a little bit of shear that's not helping to keep that convection into its environment, but it's something to really keep an eye out. The shear density generally out ahead of it is pretty favorable here. Also, I want to take a look at true color. I thought I saw something earlier. Very interesting. Yeah, right in here, there's our tut. We do have a little bit of an upper level feature of a tut. Right there. So There's definitely a little bit of shear. You could see it right in here. There's definitely a bit of shear coming out of this side of the storm. I want to see if convection does develop. That'd be very interesting. So there is a little bit of shear. Getting into a better environment, though. So that's the key. Vorticity has actually gained quite a bit of intention there. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below. Yeah, we kind of looked at it all, you guys, with this one. Yeah, oh, there's something else I want to take a look at. So this was about an hour. This was a little bit earlier here. Alright, so this is an earlier ASCAT about 101 UTC. We did have the beginning of a low-level circulation up here, about 30 to 35, even some 40 to 50 mile-an-hour winds on the northern side here. It's actually pretty favorable. What's not is down here. It was relatively weak, but it has gained a bit probably. I want to see the next ASCAT. So, hey Tristan, if you're in here, whenever you get a new update on ASCAT, will you be able to send that, please? That'd be very greatly appreciated. Also, I know we're about to be jumping shoes here. Alright, let's take a look at some other stuff. So, I want to take a look at the general Atlantic spiel here. So, lately in the Gulf of Mexico Ocean, the heat content has dropped. We're starting to see, you know, we had that big uptick to a new peak of the ocean heat content, drastically dropping here, lower than 2024 of last year. So that was very interesting. I want to see if this does rebound a bit or this just continues to drop, because that would be very interesting. But we have seen a few day drop. That's a good thing. In the Gulf, main development region pretty much entering its peak. Not as high as it was back in 2023 and 2024. So that's some good information. Also, and then in the Caribbean, we're still on our climb here where we've been very close to the top. Well, we'll want to watch this, especially as we get into October. Does it? Did the National Hurricane Center, I see that, oh, they just did. So, they did just update this. It's 1,004 moving west-northwest at 16. They kept it at 50 miles an hour. This is their... Okay. I want to see their latest discussion. They haven't discussed it yet. Thank you. Very greatly appreciate that, Tristan, for the chats. We have to give it, let's give it about 5 to 10 minutes. They still have to make their discussion and generally their information on it. Very interesting overall here. So, generally the ocean heat content is still above average. So, that's a pretty good thing. This is the Gulf of Mexico daily sea surface temperatures. We did hit a new peak back on September 5th. Generally has been a downward trend in the last couple of days. But we'll have to see if this does continue to just drastically come down. I do not believe so. But we'll have to wait and see. The Atlantic Hurricane Center still cooking, generally going above average, still warming up quite a bit. North Atlantic in general, slowly but surely easing its way down. I'd like to see how that continues to play out. Live for the 0Z model runs. Who wants me to? Alright, I just started a new goal. Whoever donates, even if it's just $1, and wants me to stay on for the 11 and 12 o'clock model runs, let's hit that goal. That's our goal. Let's hit it, and then I'll be live for the 0Z model runs. Let's do it, Weather Kingdom. I think we can. Let's do it. We're at 17 likes. I think we can do 800 subs tonight. We only been down here for about 51 minutes. We still cooking it big time in the Atlantic. We have some 0Z model runs to potentially look at. But let's see. All right. So now I want to take a look at the more broader view of the Atlantic. And before I even look at the models, I want to take a look at the ensembles. Because as you guys know, as I talked about with the European AI models, they've been very good this season. They have picked up on stuff that the global models have not. And what's very interesting, also reminds you of 1999. Let's go back in there. 1999. I see that PM reminds you of that was when, was it Floyd? So first system was our last system displayed on November 23rd. Very interesting. That's not bad. 16 names. Yeah, this can actually be right. It's not a bad. The only thing is, oh my goodness. You know what this Hey. Okay, but PMW. This is actually crazy that you put 1999, because I want your opinion on this. I want to go to my drive, because back a few months ago when I was doing my Atlantic, I don't even know if I have it set up on here. Crap. I do. Oh, I do. I actually compared past seasons. If you guys remember, it was 2017, 2011, and 1999. Like I said, look at this. New sign. This was back in July. When I did my update for July into August, I was comparing 3 years, with totally the 2017 season being an outlier, but at the time this was back in July. It wasn't expected to be like this, but 2017's off. I did say 2011, but then August was dead. September's been dead, so we could kind of cross off that. But the most likely that I see That's actually pretty crazy. They have, alright. The tropical, actually pretty crazy is, yeah, this definitely could be. This could definitely be a 1999 season. Okay, I will. This was pretty interesting. It's a very busy Atlantic hurricane season with above average waters and neutral that developed into La Nina. The latter part of the hurricane season, the later part of hurricane season begins slow, but it quickly rises. September was pretty busy. We had about we had 4 names. We had Harvey also. Yep, Floyd of that category 4. Yep. Very interesting stuff right there, because we had this was our 7th named storm, and it just happened a few days ago back in 1999. So it is pretty crazy. We got all the way up to Lanny back in November. So my question is, will we see the same type of activity? That's actually very valid. Also, as I'm here, let's quickly go into Discord. Sky Trevor. Where did you show this? Hey, Sky Trevor, where did you send it to me? Oh, right here. So, is this stuff. So, alright, very interesting. So, okay, 1992 Atlantic hurricane season base. Oh, you're comparing 1992. Alright. So we had, okay, not retired. Dates. So we had Daniel actually back in, yeah, that's a good analog in my opinion. September 22 and 26, we had Daniel. And then we had Francis. That was it. We never even got to the I. I think we're going to get a little bit more than that year, in my opinion. Oh, you're talking about that. Okay, and then the 2025. Yeah. Pretty crazy. It's crazy that Erin was the only category 5. We should be adding another yellow. 40, 45, 60. I'm surprised Chantal got that strong. Ferand. Yep, 60. Bonnie formed. This was... Bonnie formed on September 17th. Wow. It is pretty close, but we already went through Charlie and Daniel. We're still a few names above the 1992, but pretty interesting. Actually, I'm going to put a check mark to that. Thank you on that. Yep, there's our tropical wave back in here. We'll have to wait and see. Thank you for that information. That's actually pretty crazy. 1999. And then I wanted to compare 2025. I know we're kind of going off here. By the way, if you guys want me to stay until about 12 o'clock, it would be very greatly appreciated if someone donates even $1. Remember all October hurricanes, Sally, Matthew, and Michael. Yeah, you're not wrong. That's pretty crazy. I want to look at the timeline. Alright. It hasn't been so bad. Yeah, I mean, this is Gabrielle. I think this will become a hurricane. And then our next. I think we're going to get a little bit more active in here. I think we're about to get a little bit more active, especially in October. We'll be looking at all the favorabilities and stuff. I actually was onto that until I saw that by by 0. Thank you for that. Correct. That's why I'm not. I actually wanted to talk about this more also with the model. We have 32 people, our most of the stream tonight. Thank you for that. Very greatly appreciate it. That's because you guys are liking, sharing, and subscribing. Let's get up to 25 likes. I'll be very greatly appreciate that. I believe Gabrielle will become a hurricane. I agree with you. Right now, what we are doing, we're taking a depth look at the Atlantic. We're kind of going back years ago, comparing it with the waters and stuff. I do want to take a look, actually, what's very interesting, because I know Tristan talked about this, the 1999 hurricane season water temps. Around the world. I have a question. Does anyone... Okay, so what's been talking about with Tristan? I don't know if you're still here, buddy. But I know you have talked about the very, very warm waters here. Okay, we're not worried about this. This is the global. But look. We had a very warm northern Pacific water lately. Alright? So, I know we have talked about this off-stream and a little bit on-stream. But could this actually be a part of the Atlantic hurricane season not cooperating right? Because we're getting a lot of these cold fronts and storm systems traveling right along here. And then we're getting cold fronts that splash in here, giving cold fronts and then creating shear. Like it seems like to me, thanks to this up here, the very warm water, the Atlantic hurricane season's been lacking behind. My question is, was there any other years that this map reminds you of? Actually, I know you guys might think I'm crazy, but I actually want to look at it. ChatGPT. It will kind of help me compare Atlantic hurricane season. I know we shouldn't be doing that, but I just want to take a good look here. So we don't need this. All right. So we're going to copy in, and then we're going to ask the question. Alright, I'll take a look at that. That's a great question. Just give it a second. I just want to take a good look here. I want to see if it will help. SST anomalies. Huh. Yeah, that's not a good help. If anyone knows what... I want to... That's interesting. I'll like to keep an eye on that. Quickly, let's just take a quick update here. I'll look at the message on Discord of the satellite imagery. Alright. Yeah, it's currently struggling. There hasn't been new convection blowing up there in the last, like, hour. Gabrielle, I think, is going to last, in my opinion. Warm PDO map. Huh. Years. I don't know. It's not really right here either. 2013. Huh. Yep, very dead Atlantic hurricane season. Yeah, the 2014 rise. Yep. Chantal. Pretty crazy. What was the I name? We never even got to I. Oh, we did. Very interesting right there. Very interesting. When we take a look at the next 312 hours out, there is wave number 3. This is a interesting thing. Interesting. All right. Yeah, a little interesting. I'm just taking a look at the Atlantic overall. Yeah, there's a little bit of uptick. And remember, why I'm a little bit more concerned on these AI models is because the AI models have done pretty good with it. With the Atlantic hurricane season so far. So something to keep an eye. This is another AI, and it also likes to show a wave right here, also a wave back in here. So 1, 2, 3. So it does look like we're going to be in a little bit of a busy period with the Atlantic hurricane season. I do think that's going to help. You never know. What's interesting is, I know we have not looked at the Euro model long range, but when we take a look at that, I want you guys to take a look at the vorticity. What happens? So this storm stays the same. We do see our little tropical wave right in here that goes through. But once we get to the islands, the Euro likes it to go into the Bahamas. And look at that. By the end of September, we see a potential another hurricane on the model. And this actually goes up the East Coast and becomes its own monster here. But look at that. We see that third wave behind it also go right through the Dominican and then north of the islands here. So look at that. I'm not saying this is it, but it is very interesting as we see one. This will be pretty much, this will be the leftover of Gabrielle. This is our second wave that's behind it that enters a bit there. But then this is the third wave that goes into the Caribbean, right? And then this is a fourth wave right here. And then a fifth wave right here. All by September 30th. So if you guys think the Atlantic is done, set in stone, in my opinion, this could switch in a pretty quick way. I agree with you, PM. Very agreeable on that. Something to watch. So it doesn't look like the Atlantic is completely set in stone yet, because, I mean, look at this. I mean, this is by the end. We got the leftover of the G-name storm hitting all the way up in Greenland, whatever, Alaska. This is our second wave. This is our third, fourth, fifth, even right here, a little bit of vorticity, and then even our sixth potential area, all by October 2nd. I'm not sure that we're going to get that much, but I would like to see how the Euro plays the game here in the next little bit, because very interesting look on that. When we take a look at the GFS very far out, there's that one that hits Bermuda, and then kind of look at, we see a wave going to the Gulf instead here by October 2nd, but the Atlantic is much more quiet on the GFS and as of 12Z. So the Euro model is a little bit the Euro model, what's interesting to me is the Euro model's picking it up. The GFS is not. And the Euro model is usually the most accurate model. So the question is, in the next couple days, as we're taking a look at this storm, do we see potentially another storm? Do we start seeing more signs to wake up in the Atlantic? Those are all major questions that we'll have to wait and see. Okay? When we take a look at the MJO for the world around this time, in that active more period, look at that. Definitely by the beginning of October, the GFS wants a little bit less. But it does look like by the end of September into early October, there is a period. Alright, I'll look at that. There is a bit more of an active period showing up in the longer range on the GFS with the MJO. So that is a bit interesting there on the latest MJO look at things. 12Z had it a little bit more favorable and keeping it favorable. So it's definitely there of a bit more of a favorable MJO than earlier September. Alright, I'll take a look at that. Look at the 12Z. This has been consistent too, where generally the leftover the MJO, we get into a little bit of unfavorable, but it looks like the Atlantic's still going to be kicking along. But then generally, by the end of the model run, the MJO kind of gets neutral, and this by October 2nd. This is not bad at all. This is a lot more favorable pattern than before, okay? So it's something to keep your eye out on, okay? Oh, wait. Before we actually take out this, let's look at the European ensembles, alright? Look at that. I'm watching it. Look at this, you guys. The Euro model likes a little bit of lows in this environment on the 12Z. I mean, there is a little bit of hints of that. Also a little bit hints of a gyre system. So it is a little bit interesting that the models are kicking up a bit more lately on its activity and the MJO. So I'm not gonna make this alantic tap out just yet. It's not there yet, in my opinion. Alright. Let's take a look at the MJO now. Very interesting MJO. Yeah, there's the MJO. Generally staying, pretty interesting here is we're here right now. This is by the end of the model run. So generally we move like this, go into phases 4, back into neutral, and then it looks like generally the models wants to put it back into 1 and 2 as we get into October. So that is a little bit of interesting that the MJO does get a little bit better organized with the latest thinking. I'll look at your message in a little bit. Generally, the convection's not too durable. It's kind of sticking what it's staying pronounced. I don't see anything big here on the MJO, but we'll have to wait and see and watch, in my opinion. I like to watch this, but something to really keep an eye out on. Also, we're going to update you guys on 90W West, as this will become a growing concern of a typhoon. There is currently shear and dry air on it, so it is keeping it limited. But when we take a look at I'm not going to stay on it too long, but let's go in the halves model of 90W West. Generally, will get more intensified, becomes a typhoon, and definitely here into a strong, wow, 18Z, it's crazy, wow. This is a super typhoon at this point. In the next 102 hours out, quickly strengthens, slams these islands right here. This will be extremely bad as a super typhoon here. That's a 913 millibar storm. That is yikes. Slams 914 and actually even strengthens even to a 912 and then starts to weaken just a bit, probably with eye wall, but wow. That's not good. That's a monster. Look at that precip. Oh, really? It did that to me? Alright. Yeah, this would be bad if this happens. Definitely with these winds up to 150 plus mile an hour wind gusts. That's not Bermuda. We're looking at the West Pacific. Look at that. Oh, wait. This is... Yep. Does anyone see the issue here, right? Can you guys look at this typhoon? I want you guys to look at this information right here where I'm just pointing at. That's 192 knots. 192.3 knots. That's about 220 mile an hour wind gusts plus. That will be extremely bad. And what makes it worse is, look at the strongest winds. Right on these islands right here. That is bad. Wow. That is bad. Wow. Even the 1000 millibar. You're looking at generally 155 knots. You guys, I want you guys to take a look at this. That's 180 mile an hour winds. That's 180 mile an hour winds just barreling towards the islands. This is just a half say. Wow. That is strong. And this is the only model. I don't understand. Why not? Let's look at the GFS. What does this show? Yep. Oh, yep. Oh, yep. Generally a 944. 941 millibar storm, actually. It's still a major typhoon. But the thing is, the hurricane models are not running on this. I think that's stupid. I say the model should be running on it. I wouldn't say that just yet. That was 12Z. Look at the 18Z. These are the AI models. Look at that. These are ensembles. That's up to about a 4 or 5 right there with the ensembles. On average. Okay. Into these islands. We will be live. If this is the outcome, we will be live for this storm. Regardless with the Atlantic waking up, we'll be live on it. Extremely aggressive there. That is bad. Thank you guys. We have hit 20 likes. If you guys are new, feel free to donate and subscribe. It helps the channel out. And likes the channel out a lot.
The background state is just not as conducive as what we first thought. You've never seen a hurricane? Well, not in person, no. Not in person. So, yeah.
Alright. So, that's about it. We kind of covered all basins. We even looked at the National Hurricane Center. I'm not going to stay on here for the 12 Zs. 0 Zs, I mean. I guess we got the icon out. We can kind of take a look at that. Yep. Huh. No. Generally shows a hurricane. About the same thing than the last icon. Us just showing that other tropical wave there. We'll have to wait and see. But for that being said, you guys, I'm going to end the stream. If you guys are new, please like and subscribe to the channel. And if you guys want to donate, feel free to donate. We have 3 minutes left.